I'm visiting someone for a first-time date, and she was insistent on making food for me at her place. However, her place is shared with 4 other women, and it feels uncomfortable for a first date. I would prefer privacy and a public setting for a first date. Do people normally invite someone for dinner for a first date? How can I politely decline? I couldn't really say no at the moment because I'm not good at it. Story 1. Just tell her directly that you'd like to meet at a public place the first time. Women ask this of men all the time, and it's never a big deal. Why should it be a problem if the guy insists on that for the first date? Story 2. She's doing this so her roommates can later give their opinions about you. You are walking into a dating interview. Don't do it. Instead, suggest a neutral public place. If she declines, then reschedule for another time. I've been in a similar situation twice, and I'll never do it again. Story 3. Considering most women do not want guys they met online to know where they live until they've really got to know them in person, I'd say this is pretty unusual. Meet in public just to be safe. Story 4. Suggest a picnic. Both of you bring a couple of food items and take it outside. If she asks you why, be direct with her. You would rather have a chance to get to know her in a private setting without an audience. Story 5. This is how you end up in a bathtub full of ice missing a kidney. Don't go to someone's place for a first date unless you have known them for a long time and you have been to the place before. Story 6. Insist on buying her dinner. If she continues to press you, tell her you would rather meet in a public place for your first date, and you hope it's not a deal breaker. Stay safe out there and don't get lured into a trap. Story 7. I would thank her kindly for the offer, but say you feel more comfortable meeting in a neutral location. If she insists, then decline. It's better to part ways early with someone who will not compromise than to struggle later. Story 8. You are going in for an interview. Have fun with that. If you have other options, take them. Story 9. Agonizing distinct profit cows summer oatmeal worry paltry reply 9. Story 10. Dating interrogation. This is a lose-lose situation unless you're the living embodiment of Adonis. Even then, you'll still get shut down somehow since her jealous friends will intervene to steal you for themselves. Story 11. Has she mentioned if they'll be out? Usually, people would ask their roommate if they could leave the apartment or stay in their room for a bit as a favor. Story 12. Just tell her that you're not comfortable and would rather meet at a restaurant. If she doesn't want to meet after that, just find someone else. Story 13. Just text her, "Hey, if you're not comfortable meeting me one-on-one, no worries. This is probably a good spot to call it. Best of luck in your search." Then block her. Story 14. Have you asked if her roommates will be there? Also, 5 people in a shared space. Either she's going to end up basically living at your place, or you're going to get annoyed quickly with that dynamic. Good Lord, no thanks. Story 15. I would take that as a sign to just cancel the date and move on. You haven't lost anything because you haven't even met her. Story 16. Don't worry. You have 2 kidneys. Just remember that when you wake up in the ice bath, you need to call an ambulance immediately. Story 17. Don't do it. You're going to get interviewed by a panel. This woman evidently doesn't have a mind of her own, so she needs her friends to decide for her, or they will scrutinize every aspect of who you are, searching for flaws. Suggest meeting in a public place. If she says no, just move on. Know your worth. Story 18. Ask her if she would feel comfortable going to your place on a first date and being with your 4 male friends. She's not thinking about this properly. Story 19. This might be a great idea in the future if you have been dating for a while, but on a first date, yeah, kind of weird. Like someone else said, unless you two will be there alone, it's an interview. Story 20. No, just no. You may be lured to a location to be robbed. Could be just your phone and wallet or even your kidneys. It's not worth it, buddy. Story 21. You have lost the date already. Give up and move on. This is nothing more than a trap to roast you. Story 22. I wouldn't ever go to a stranger's apartment on a first date. Sounds like a good way to end up missing a kidney or waking up tied to the bed. Story 23. She sounds like someone who is going to be very clingy and jealous. So watch yourself. Also, just tell her straight up and ask her how she would feel going to your location with all male roommates on a first date. This is coming from a female. Story 24. It's likely she wants to get her friend's opinion of you. Try this. I'm fine with meeting your friends, but I'm not comfortable doing that on our first date. I would prefer this date be just the two of us. Story 25. Own it. The sooner you are comfortable and act like it in social situations, the more impressive you will be with women. Story 26. You want to have a date in a public place. Let her choose if it makes it better. If you're a tourist in places like Colombia, simply don't go. That's a known tactic to drug and rob naive men. Story 27. Hey, it's our first date, and I really like to keep both of my kidneys, so let's meet up in a public space. Story 28. From a woman, this is a very weird first date. Unless it's a dinner party that she already had planned and invited you to come along, otherwise this is strange. It means you can't leave when you want to. It's dinner. You were stuck there for a few hours, and you were also stuck with her friends. It's odd that she suggested this as a first date. She should be concerned that you might be a crazy person. To me, it suggests she is either 1. Hiding something such as not looking like her pictures, and wants to win you over with the food. Socially awkward and needs her friends around to feel more relaxed. Unstable. Just tell her, look, I'm not comfortable with our first date being at your house. Let's just meet up for a coffee and see if we get along. Story 29. You're not really asking me because this is an Ask Men forum, but as a woman, absolutely not. If you were a woman and some guy invited you over to cook for you and said he had 4 other male roommates, would you even be here asking? Go for coffee or breakfast. Breakfast is a great first date. I wouldn't suggest going to anyone's house for a first date, but I am thinking of this from a woman's point of view, so go with your gut instincts. Story 30. Hire 4 men from Craigslist to join you. Gay men. Have them bring clipboards and ask your date questions. Turn the tables. Story 31. For a first date? Absolutely not. I'd refuse based on safety. Anyone could be in that house, and I don't know them well enough to feel safe, even if it is just women. Public places are always best for a first date unless I knew them beforehand. Story 32. Negotiate by stating that you would like to have the first date in a public space. And if it goes well, she is welcome to have you over for a second date. Story 33. Just be honest, open, and tell her you would feel more comfortable meeting for the first time in a public place. She is a woman and should understand that. Story 34. One other thing, if she is much more attractive than you're used to, she may be setting you up to get robbed. Some women can be untrustworthy. Story 35. Just tell her you're not comfortable meeting at her place for a first date, and you'd rather go to a restaurant or somewhere like that. If she refuses, wish her well and move on. You have agency, you know. Story 36. She might be a serial killer, and those random women might be her accomplices, just saying. A first date at home is not common, not even in arranged marriages. Be careful, original poster. Story 37. Happened to me. A lady in her late 30s had 5 female roommates. She was a non-traditional student returning to school, and her roommates were an interesting mix. I had a hunch, and it proved correct. I brought a charcuterie board for everyone. I said I had to get something from my car, which was a houseplant. I literally said, can I do this panel interview with the household goddesses at a later date? Or is my humble offering insufficient? I'd like to take you to a local coffee shop within walking distance if that's all right. One of the roommates thought my joke was funny and shooed us off. We hung out at the coffee place and enjoyed an extra hour of walking. It was a better vibe when we got back to her place, and we ended up getting takeout with the roommates. People were relaxed. We ended up drinking and playing cards against humanity. I ended up being friends with one of the roommates for a long time. I'm an introvert, and it was exhausting, honestly, but also a win. If you're feeling this way beforehand, I'd say, hey, I'd feel more comfortable doing X or Y. Is that okay? If it becomes a conversation, my explanation would be, honestly, it's a first date, and I just want to get to know you. Meeting all your roommates is a lot. But that's me. They can handle my honesty or it's not going to work. Story 38. To be honest, it really depends on how confident you are as a person and how well you can read the room. I went on a first date 3 weeks ago with a girl I met on Tinder. We planned for Saturday night, and when the time came, she said her family was in town and having a party. She asked if I wanted to come along with no pressure, and it was totally okay to reschedule. For me, life is an adventure, and I'm always up for something different. I decided to go and met her entire family at her grandmother's party. I had a great time with them. For more context, I'm Asian and the girl I met was black, so you know how it goes. Let's just say I'm invited to all the cookouts from now on, and her grandmother calls me Jackie Chan. It was a fantastic experience. Be confident, funny, respectful, and engage with everyone. Don't come empty-handed. Ask if they drink wine. There's no need to splurge on an expensive bottle. Be lighthearted. I don't see it as an interview, but more of an experience. If you can hit it off with her and impress her friends on the first date, you can call yourself accomplished. Of course, if you're not comfortable with the situation, just ask if you can reschedule a date for just the two of you. No problem. Good luck. Story 39. Women love to test men. I absolutely refuse this method of shadow judging. Tell her you are not comfortable with what she suggests for a first date. You have a pair. It just seems like you misplaced them. High school is over. Peer consensus is for children, not adult women, although at least half of women will disagree with me and call me toxic and a misogynist, labels which I wear with pleasure. Story 40. If you know and trust her well enough, I take her up on the offer. With the cost of going out for food and drinks these days, a night in is nice. She might want to treat you. Her living situation is a frugal choice, which is not a bad thing. I take this over someone living alone and buying me dinner on a credit card she's near maxing out while paying the minimum balance. Story 41. Okay, without reading the comments first. After your first date with someone, you should never go back home with them. That is my personal advice to every person on this planet. Because if you go back to their apartment, you feed into their desires and their wants and their needs. Story 42. I assume you have a chiseled jaw, shield-like pectorals, washboard abs, cannonball deltoids, mountainous upper back, bulbous biceps, titanic triceps, glorified glutes, quantum quadriceps, heaving hamstrings, colossal calves. Just make sure you have impressive latissimus dorsi muscles, and this will be a success. Come up for air, stay hydrated, and whatever you do, do not pass out. You need to pay 30% attention to the main target and 17.5% to each of the group. We just wanted to say good luck. We're all counting on you. Story 43. Don't say privacy, as it may be misunderstood. Instead, say you want to meet in public. Both people want to ensure they are safe, and that is best achieved in a public place. You don't need to give reasons. Just say, I want to stick with the rules. I would love to come to your home after we meet in public. Story 44. I don't know how to help you get out of it, but you fellas have to learn not to eat a woman's cooking until you know her a bit. That's how you get cursed with that cuckoo soup. Story 45. I did the interview first date before. If you are confident, own it. Go charm them all. But know she's probably insecure or manipulative. But that's fine because it's a free meal. On the date itself, she and her friends were basic. The picture she showed had a heavy filter and she was trying hard to be cool in front of her friends, but ultimately she wasn't really my type. I ended up going home earlier because I had work in the morning and they wanted me to keep drinking wine. I wasn't going to do a second date, but my two female cousins insisted I meet her at a bar. They showed up to give her the same treatment. She was mortified, and justice prevailed. Story 46. Cancel the date. Tell her that you'll be happy to go out with her when she figures out how to think for herself. Story 47. You tell her straight up, I appreciate you offering to have me over to eat, but I prefer that for the first date we meet at a neutral location. If she doesn't want to or starts to put pressure on you, even in a nice way, it doesn't matter. That's an enormous red flag because you don't want to date someone who doesn't take your needs into consideration. Story 48. This is a person who cannot make their own decisions, a colossal headache in the making. Break it off before it even starts. Story 49. In today's litigious society, all her friends could turn on you. It's not smart to invite a stranger you just met into your home for any reason. There are more ways in which things can go wrong than right. It's too risky. Besides, if she is smart, she could also be testing you. If you accept, she could back out at the last minute. In that case, she might be grateful and respect you more for not giving in to any temptations that might have occurred. It's too risky. I would reschedule. Not in a way that seems like refusing with some other time maybe, but explain that something came up like work or school. Suggest meeting in 2 or 3 days at a coffee shop. You could meet her and her friends there, but make it very clear that they pay for what they order, and you can cover yourself and her order. After all, you are dating her, not them. Story 50. Tell her that going home with someone on the first date is inappropriate behavior and you are not that kind of person. Or just say that going over to someone's house is more suitable for a second or third date. You'll never find a good girl if you can't be honest with them. Story 51. Let's go over some of the possibilities. 1. This girl is genuine and just wants her friends watching her back. Solution. Suggest a date in public. This girl is not genuine. She and her friends are going to do something bad to you. Solution. Suggest a date in public. This girl is more than genuine and wants an orgy. Solution. Wear protection. This girl is not genuine and has 4 of her male friends waiting to do something bad to you. Solution. Suggest a date in public. Moral of the story. Bring protection. Story 52. It's a bad idea to try to have private first dates. It just creates a lot of pressure and awkwardness. I would not go to her place because it is not neutral territory and moreover puts her in the boss role because it is her place. If she wants to bring her friends over to your place, then that's fine, but not the other way around. Story 53. Just tell her you would like to take her to dinner and don't feel comfortable going to her place for a first date. A woman should understand this, and if she's weird about it, it's a red flag. Move on. Story 54. That's pretty unusual for a first date. If you're comfortable with it, go for it. If not, maybe suggest something else unless you already agreed, in which case it might be too late, but not necessarily. If you're going to suggest something else, make sure it's something you're both comfortable with, so perhaps have alternative plans ready to offer if she doesn't like your suggestion. You couldn't really refuse in the moment when she asked because you're not good at it. It's best to get good at it. If you don't stand up for yourself, who do you expect to come to your rescue? Story 55. Say no. You need to get better at it. Really, that is the best way. If you were looking for words, try this. Hey, I would really like to spend time focusing on you. So let's pick another venue. Hanging out at your place might be great later, but for now, just the 2 of us. Story 56. Don't. She feels safe there and wants her roommates to check you out and get their opinion. Go. Be charming. Ask them about themselves if you get introduced, and pick up on social cues to determine how long to engage with them. It is a much cheaper date than taking her to a restaurant. Enjoy. If you don't hit it off with her, maybe one of the other ladies will end up being a connection. The only way this is awkward is if you make it awkward. Story 57. As soon as she mentions a bad idea, playfully say something like, maybe next time, let's go do something else. I could have salvaged this situation. Story 58. Dude, just go. You already said you would. Be a man of your word, and you might actually have a good time. Story 59. No one can tell you what to think without knowing the full context. The first date at her apartment could mean any of the following. 1. She is very confident that she likes you, trusts you, and wants to show off her cooking skills. She's extremely shy and wants her roommates to be around to help carry the conversation and take some pressure off her. This is more like a casual encounter than a date, and you're not getting the hint. She's going to rob you. Tiny chance. If you are confident that she's well-adjusted, I wouldn't be overly worried about the whole thing. Story 60. If she is sharing with 4 other women, she's probably on a budget. This is a great place for her because she has the protection of 3 other women. It's nearly as public as a public place, and it's cheaper than going somewhere else. Plus, she gets to showcase, at worst, one of her hobbies or, at best, a life skill she brings to the table for a long-term relationship. Just do it. It'll be fun. Story 61. You idiot. If a girl invited you over, it means she is down to flirt. If you can't handle that idea and you are intimidated by potentially meeting 1 to 3 other friends of hers, then maybe you're not really ready for this goal. Story 62. Go. If she doesn't like you, then one of her friends might. On the other hand, you are probably going to get robbed. Either way, good luck. Story 63. I'd go check it out. Could be fun or interesting. But if they start playing the music, you might want to revert to plan B. Story 64. You all sometimes frustrate me with these questions. If you're not comfortable, say so. If she gets upset, then just walk away. I know dating is hard for men, but don't compromise your own well-being for a woman you don't even know yet. Story 65. You can say, are your roommates going to be there? I really wanted to get to know you one-on-one for our first date. Story 66. Am I the only one who would actually be interested? Of course, only if I was 100% sure it's not a deception or worse. Story 67. Hey, I appreciate you trusting me so much to come over to your place, but I'd be more comfortable meeting in a public place for a first date instead. Maybe if you bring your cooked food, I'll bring some drinks, and we can make it a picnic. Story 68. So isn't doing it to make a meal for you, she wants her roommates to evaluate you. I'd ask her out to your favorite restaurant. If she says no, then move on. Story 69. Just plan a date for her outside the house, like booking a table at a restaurant or something. Or be honest and say you'd rather not have the first date at her place, as you won't be alone. Story 70. Just be open and let her know that you're uncomfortable going to her place for the first date. Do people not know how to communicate? Story 71. Personally, I like this. You get to meet her roommates, her cat or dog, and see her place. If the conversation gets stale, you have other people. I thrive in that environment, though. Story 72. Tell her that a date is between you and her, not with her friends. Suggest a nice place to take her out and set reservations for 2. If she isn't interested, let her know it's not going to work out because you're not here to date her friends, and she can find someone else who will. Stand up for yourself. Story 73. Just say you prefer to meet somewhere other than her apartment. If she doesn't want to, simply cancel the date. Story 74. I say go. Win them over. Be perfect, kind, and fun. It's a party for you. Don't get drawn into combative or antagonistic behavior. Be succinct yet vague with uncomfortable questions. If they gang up on you, excuse yourself and tell the person you agreed to meet. Unfortunately, I thought this was a date, but it seems like I'm supposed to make everyone happy immediately, and that's a bit much without knowing anyone here, including you. I'd like to go on an actual date with you, so maybe next time we could do that. Story 75. Meh. Go for it. If you must get out of it, it's best to be upfront. Say you're not comfortable with the idea instead of searching the internet for ways to avoid it. One of my best relationships started this way. We played Scrabble, watched a movie, had good food, and just had a lovely time. Story 76. I've been to a girl's house for dinner on a first date in the past, but she lived alone. Generally, I prefer coffee for a first date. I would rather have a public, get-to-know-each-other short date before deciding to pursue further. Story 77. I would assume her roommates are not going to be there. I shared a house with 5 guys. There were rarely more than 3 of us there at the same time, and it would have been relatively easy to ask them to stay out of the kitchen to give me and a date some privacy if needed. Story 78. Wait, this woman is inviting you to her place for a first date, and you're hesitant because there are other women to deal with? How about showing up and being a charming person who can hang out with a household of women? Be an adult and go outside your comfort level. Story 79. Since there will be other people around her, see it as a casual hangout and chat with everyone. Keep it simple and make sure to leave the suit and tie at home. Story 80. I've never had a date where the guy didn't come back to my house for cuddles or food and movie watching. Story 81. It's a little weird, but she may want her friends to vet you. Why not start the date at the apartment for dinner, then go to a pub for some drinks? Make it clear that you want to go out afterward with just her. Story 82. Maybe this is a way for her friends to approve the selection, or she wants to show you she can cook. No problem, but if you want to meet in public, just say so. Story 83. Yeah, this is bad on two levels. This is potentially dangerous, but even if it's not and she's telling the truth, you're being evaluated by all of the roommates. Tell her, on second thought, I'd rather meet in a public place, and have a few suggestions ready. Don't offer to pay either. You should be splitting it. Story 84. What's the worst that could happen? Forget it, go for the food and the conversation. You're gonna have to do it at some point. Story 85. Let her know your preference for going to a public place on the first date. If she listens and agrees, everything is good. If not, that's a huge red flag and you might need to run, brother. Story 86. That's kind of weird. Maybe she thinks it's safer with 4 women present. But giving your address to someone is counterproductive to safety. Ask to meet somewhere public and busy, as that's the safest neutral ground and what women have to do too. It works both ways. Story 87. As the kids used to say, you only live once. Unless you have concerns about your safety, go to her house. Be charming and try to wrap things up. Women feel much more comfortable when they have the home field advantage. Story 88. Maybe I'm in the minority, but this sounds like a good time. I like meeting new people. If I were in your shoes, I would just have fun with it and enjoy some home-cooked food. Show some interest in what she is cooking. It would be a night filled with interesting conversations. Story 89. She's probably doing it due to a lack of funds. I understand that. You will be vetted by her friends. If you play it nice and charming and you like the girl, by all means do it. If you are not sure about the girl, it is a bit strange. Story 90. Just tell her you prefer and insist on meeting up outside on the first date. She should understand. I'm a female, and I usually say I don't feel comfortable going to the guy's place on the first 5 dates. If they don't like it, then that's their issue. Story 91. Agreed, you want to meet her one-on-one. She may want her friends to check you out, but that can wait until later. Treat her to coffee. Story 92. Her friends probably want to check you out, which is understandable, and it should go well if she is interested in you and you handle social situations well. If she is living with 4 other people, she might be on the lower end of the financial spectrum. Women in this position are often more sensitive about money matters with men and typically more inclined to offer to split the bill for a meal. There are 2 reasons for this. They don't want to feel financially indebted to you or have you expect anything, and they are accustomed to similar arrangements with men in their socioeconomic spectrum. It's her safe space, but by inviting you in, she is also being vulnerable despite the support she has there. If it genuinely makes you uncomfortable, consider that she has valid reasons for her suggestion, even if it's simply about cost and convenience and feeling comfortable enough with you to invite you into her home. It's up to you. Maybe suggest a walk in a park or a game of pool, or another low-cost or no-cost date as an alternative. Story 93. If she is inviting you to her place, she intends to have sex with you on the first date. Are you sure you want to go somewhere else? Story 94. I think telling her you want to go out in public first is okay. Maybe date number 2 or 3 can be dinner at her house. Story 95. She wants a date, and if her roommates are friends, they will judge you at the same time. She likes you enough to invite you and have her friends meet you, I'm guessing. I say go for it if you think it's worthwhile, but you will be examined closely if that's her goal. If you pass their trial, you're basically a legend among men. Then again, maybe it turns into a situation where they are all interested in you. Oh, and I have a record of not being able to read when girls are into me and are single. So take what I say with a grain of salt. Story 96. She's invited you to a place she feels comfortable. What's wrong with that? It's not like the first date decides your entire future. Go on the date and see how it goes. Make a decision from there. At least that's what I would do. Story 97. You just have to be open and honest with her. As long as you communicate respectfully, if she is a good person, she should understand. Story 98. Just tell her that you're uncomfortable meeting at her place for a first date. Honestly, it's not safe for anyone to do this, roommates or not. If she won't change her mind, then just refuse. It's not safe and she should understand that. Story 99. It could very well end up being a pegging party, and you will be the center of attention. Are you experienced with this? I say go for it. Story 100. Man up and stop worrying about where the first date is or how to tell her you're not okay with it. Impress her and her roommates. A real man can get himself into or out of any situation. Can you thrive while being in an uncomfortable situation, or will you fold? Otherwise, be straightforward and tell her you're not okay with it. What do you have to lose? You may have already lost some dignity by making this post. Keep a pocket knife with you just in case, and always note the path to her house and all exits. Story 101. It's possible she's just nervous and feels safe around her roommates. She doesn't know you that well and maybe just wants to be cautious. Perhaps suggest a public get-together where she won't be left alone with a stranger, and that way you can both be more comfortable. Story 102. I used to share a house with a few girls. They would occasionally have first dates with guys at our house. Generally, if they were having a date in the living area, everyone else would stay in their rooms to provide some privacy. Story 103. Don't go. Red flag of wanting you to withstand a gauntlet of a group of judgmental harpies, ready to criticize you while you're there, and then nitpick every detail about you after you leave. You don't want a girl who dates by committee. Just tell her you are no longer interested. Story 104. How you handle this scenario will determine how the rest of this relationship progresses. Be honest and directly tell her you're not comfortable doing that for a first date. Do not avoid the issue. If you can't be honest and express what you want, how do you expect to be with her or anyone else? Say you're not feeling it for a first date and suggest an alternative like going out somewhere you recommend. Tell her after the second or third date you'd love to try whatever she can cook. If she reacts negatively and gets angry, then you know you shouldn't be seeing her. If she is understanding and agrees, that's a positive sign. Story 105. She probably wants her housemates to give her their opinion of you. You are going to an approval event. Story 106. Explain very calmly and convincingly that you are stuck in the belly of a whale with an old man. You're not entirely sure when the rescue is going to arrive, but the aliens said they weren't done trying to figure out why you have so many holes or what they do. It works every time. The whole week off from them. The girl, not the aliens. Peace and quiet. Story 107. As a woman, I'm surprised she wanted you to come to her house on a first date. Just tell her you're not comfortable with that. If she has an issue, then that would be a red flag in my opinion. Story 108. I think she will feel safer at her place with 4 of her friends there. It is a test. How you react and communicate with her friends will tell her a lot. So, first, for safety reasons, and second, for being tested by her and her friends. Story 109. She clearly wants her roommate's opinion of you first. You're going to get 4 different opinions, and who knows which one she'll agree with or listen to. She can't make up her own mind. Forget that. Tell her in public or it's off. Or tell her to meet at your place, assuming you live alone, and see how quickly she declines. Don't give in to her. Story 110. Do you know her outside of this planned date? Do you work or go to school with her? If there is any other history with you, this sounds like a great idea. She has asked you out and wants to cook on the first outing, so you know she isn't just after a free meal. It's in a safe place for her where you can easily leave or have a plan to excuse yourself if needed. To top it off, she's showing financial responsibility and practicality. If she's interesting enough that you'd consider dating her, then why not? Bring a bottle of wine, or if you're too young, bring flowers or offer to bring a side dish. I'd take this over someone who wants to be wined and dined on the first date. Story 111. How hard is communicating for 99% of Reddit? Honestly, why is this a post? I don't think I'm totally comfortable with coming to your house for a first date. As nice as that sounds. How about we do something else for the first date and save that for later if there's more to come? Story 112. You message her saying exactly what you have said here. You know it's not an unreasonable request. Start your relationship with honesty, expressing yourself. You'll have a much better idea on whether you want a second date or not. Story 113. They're going to chain you up, steal your wallet, make you a sex slave, and then make fun of your small private parts. Don't do it. Story 114. This is not a date. This is an interview, and if she needs her roommates to interview you, then she is lacking confidence. Reschedule. Tell her that you want to spend time with her privately and make arrangements for something reasonably priced. Story 115. If you want to make progress with a woman, you need to make her friends like you. A woman will decide to date you based on her friend's recommendation, so you have a chance to get them to like you. The purpose of a first date is to convince the other person that you aren't weird. Focus on getting her friends to like you and try not to say anything foolish. If you can do that, you're in a good position. Story 116. To start, you need to collect the black key. It is located to the east and south and is guarded by the green dragon. Once you have the key, you can head directly east from the starting room and take the southern exit. If the bridge is in place, you can walk across the hall without issue and reach the exit at the top. Otherwise, you will have to zigzag right and left until you reach the top. Taking the east exit will bring you to the living room, where you can head directly north to the other exit. The blue maze contains 5 distinct rooms, one for each roommate and one for your paramour, with the entrance shown in the middle. It is organized into columns, but a twist in the map can confuse some explorers. In this difficulty, you can head directly east from the starting room and take the southern exit. Follow the path and you should see the hall in place and walk across it. Otherwise, you will have to zigzag right and left until you reach the top. Taking the east exit will bring you to the open room, where you can head directly north to the black castle in the kitchen. Touch the gate with the black key and enter. You can find the Grail 2 bathrooms in, and can return this to the gold castle by the roommate's TV to exit the apartment. Story 117. If you have the money, here is what I suggest to earn some points. Don't bring flowers or anything that won't be useful later. Bring wine or even boxed wine so everyone can share the experience. She might not be comfortable dating one-on-one, and her friends make her feel at ease. If she plans to cook, ask if you can bring additional ingredients so everyone can share. Then, enjoy private time for just the two of you in the evening. It might seem intimidating, but bring an activity like a board game to break the ice. Once you show that you can relax and be yourself, it will seem easier. Don't focus solely on her. You never know if you're compatible. You might connect with someone else. This often happens. You might meet the love of your life, and it may not be the person you originally thought. You're young. Have fun and enjoy the experience. If it doesn't work out, move on to the next opportunity. Good luck. Story 118. Meet her where she's at. Whether she wants the safety of her own home or the opinions of her friends, respect that and show up accordingly. Dress well, bring a contribution to dinner, and ask her thoughtful questions. Ask the roommates thoughtful questions. Don't interrupt. Make eye contact with her and her roommates. Answer any questions that come your way candidly and honestly. Breathe deeply and laugh deeply. Don't expect anything. Enjoy the evening. Story 119. Don't date anyone who has to live with 4 other people. You don't state your age, but it's a deal breaker. Story 120. You should lead the relationship. Agreeing to her demand to meet at her place puts you in the position of the follower, not the leader. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.